When you think of Prudential, you think of The Rock. Meet one of the rocks of the American Heart Association. Coming up next on Carolina People. Good morning. Welcome to Carolina People. This morning we're at the Embassy Suites Resort at Kingston Plantation. We're focused on the 13th Annual American Heart Ball. It'll be held here this Saturday, and we're visiting with Ann Lymon, one of its longtime volunteers.
Hey, Greg.
Good morning, Ann.
Good morning. How are you?
Thanks so much for coming
Thank
in.
you. Thank you. I'm excited
early
to
at
be
7
here.
a.m. I know you were walking your dog early
Yep.
this morning, so you can get over here
Yep.
and get in with us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Heart Ball's like, what, 100-some hours away now?
Just around the corner.
The clock is ticking.
And I know there's women still out there shopping for dresses. They'll be doing that till Friday night.
And you're ready, though, already.
I need the shoes.
Oh, you
I
need
need
the
the shoes, but I've
yeah.
got the dress. Yep.
I see you've got a nice red top
Yeah,
on there,
yeah.
recognizing Heart Month, and
That's
of course, and heart disease impacting so many folks that it's a critical month to really
Yes.
bring it to folks' awareness.
Yep. Heart Month is needs more recognition, I think. I don't think people realized how much heart disease affects everybody, not just adults, but children as well.
Right, and women. You know, and
Women.
of course, Go Red for Women kicked off a few years ago with Laura Bush as the national representative of Go Red for Women. And I think it helped bring out, albeit as you say, even in children, it's not as widely recognized, and of course in women as well.
That's true. That's true.
It impacts a lot of folks. A lot has to happen this week to make this Saturday night's event a real success. And what are some of the things going on right now behind the scenes that folks who either attend or hear about the event may not be thinking about?
Well, I think there's a lot of organization in the background. We've had the silent auction, so each of the auction items that have been donated need an auction sheet, need to figure out where we're going to display them in Kingston Plantation, in the ballroom or in the auction rooms, and then how we're going to close out the procedure with auction items. Then there's registration, and if you have people coming in anytime between, I think it's 6:30 and 8 before dinner starts, and they have to be registered, they have to get their auction number if they're going to bid on anything, so we need their financial, the credit card or whatever, however they're going to pay, we need to have that all organized, and that takes a lot of work, just the registration, because you'll have, almost 800, 900 people start coming in almost at the same time, so you've got to have your volunteers organized. And then, of course, they're doing the food here at Kingston, so their chefs have to know the head count and how many people we're going to have, and then we have to have the table set and who's sitting where and where the sponsor's sitting, and there's a lot of background stuff going on, absolutely.
It is amazing, Ann. And, when you think about that, and you just hit the tip of the iceberg, there's so much. Of course, you are so active with decorations year after year. Rita Siegel-Levine will be with us this Friday, which we're excited about the day before the event to talk about. Of course, she's not even going to be able to attend this year, but knowing there's so much that has to happen on that end. You all coming in on Saturday, I know you've been active with that in the past, but to make the place shine, to receive 900 folks.
Yeah. And that's what's exciting is you go in there on a Saturday morning and they're just starting to set the tables and everything, and then the decorating people come with our flowers or whatever we're going to put in this year, and I won't reveal that. And then right before everybody attends, and they go around and they light all the little votive candles, or if they're having, I don't know if they're having ficus trees with lights around the exterior, but it just gives a whole different look to that ballroom from Saturday morning to Saturday night, and that's exciting, just
and of
watching
course,
it.
for us, we were here last week filming to try to recognize the importance of the event. Carmine will be with us tomorrow, who's very active here. It has been here about a year. But to hear him last week, Sabina Robinson was with us talking about 7,000 plus pieces of silverware that'll be out that night. And as you say, of course, you were here at a Heart Ball meeting recently to meet their new chef, who's gone above and beyond.
Oh, that was
really
awesome what he showed us he could
going
do.
all out. I mean, they are into it. Of course, having been away for 4 years, to be back, as Joe Delaney said, welcome home.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to a stellar event. This should be exciting to be back here again.
This is the 13th annual. You've been to a couple in the past?
I have been to every one but two.
No.
And that's because of surgery. I had open heart surgery almost 3 years ago, and then last year I had a bunion surgery, so I didn't have anything to go with the surgical boot. So I didn't have a dress, so I didn't come, but I did come and help decorate that morning. So I got to see some of the auction items set up in the ballroom before it was completed.
Yes,
so
and
I have
even though
participated.
I'm laughing about that, I'm surely not laughing about the heart surgery 3 years ago, and that is not your first.
No, that was my fourth, and people say, oh, you look a little young for that, but I had a childhood defect. I was born with a hole in my heart, and it's tetralogy of Fallot, which is probably the #1 childhood defect.
Really?
For a heart defect is a tetralogy of Fallot, and it's a lot of people hear of blue babies.
Oh yeah,
and
sure.
That's what I was. I was a blue baby, and what it is the oxygen misses, or the blood misses that loop that goes into the lungs to pick up the oxygen, which gives it the red color. So it kind of skips that part of the circulation through the heart, and it ends up being a bluish color. So I had a blue tint to my fingernails and a blue tint to my lips when I was younger.
Really?
And I remember a teacher asking me if I had grape juice for breakfast.
No.
And I said, no, that's just the way I was born. So I had my first surgery at about 3.5. I had my second surgery at 7, and they didn't have the technology to correct me. So they didn't do anything. They opened me up. The surgeon came out and told my parents, there's nothing we can do. If it was my daughter, I'd stop here and just hope for research. And then I had my third corrective surgery at 15. Well, I won't even say what year it was, but I was 15, and they actually put a Teflon patch over the hole in my heart.
Really?
And I had no problems for 28 years. It was great. I hiked with Girl Scouts
until
a
3 years
couple years ago. Yeah.
Now, you said at age 3. Now they recognized it though at birth. It was a congenital.
I don't know if they did with my birth. My pediatrician noticed something was different. That I had the blue tint and that I would tire out easily, and he's the one that I believe diagnosed it. And I was in Northwest Indiana at the time, and they sent me to Chicago, so my surgeon and my cardiologist were both in Chicago for the first 2 surgeries.
Wow. Well, that's tremendous. Of course, you were in a big city like that, and
That
hopefully
helps.
they will have seen or had seen as many opportunities that you may not have seen in a small town. If you've been in the middle of virtually nowhere, it would have been difficult.
Definitely.
That is critical. You know, Ashlyn Clark, who I think you've met but may not have yet heard talk about being, albeit she found that out, she was with us last Thursday here and found out at age 17 as all of her extensions, her feet and her hands were turning blue. And of course she was wearing a blue top that morning. I said, that blue? And she said even darker.
Oh my.
So it was and of course something that, as you say, almost always, and of course much like you probably, and I guess I'll be interested to know if this is the same case. At 3 years ago, are you still seeing a pediatric cardiologist?
Yes, I actually had my
She
surgery
mentioned the same thing.
at MUSC because they have a wonderful pediatric cardiology department.
Right.
And actually once a month they fly their pediatric cardiology department up here to Myrtle Beach and meet the patients in this area.
Really?
So I meet with them once a year when they're up here, usually in the fall. It's my appointment time. But I was the oldest person on the floor when I had my surgery at MUSC. They sort of called me like the grandmother because everybody else was little kids.
Yeah, sure, tiny.
And here they were bringing me hamburgers and stuff for when I was able to eat something, and I wanted something more than hamburgers or cheeseburgers. So they had to order from the adult wings for my
That's
food.
hilarious.
So yeah, it was kind of funny.
In the pediatric cardiology unit. Well, that's great that they make that effort to fly them up. I guess we don't have a local pediatric cardiologist.
No, we don't.
But the opportunity to be able to be that close, as you say, in some parts of the country you'd be traveling 300 miles
Exactly.
to find a pediatric cardiologist. So
or you go to a normal cardiologist and they treat the blood pressure, I call it the old fart diseases, but the older adult cardiac problems, and they're not used to the young adults and the problems that they have, so you need that specialization.
Now, at age 3, and can you imagine, of course, you had that teacher, ask you if you had grape juice that morning. You probably remember instances like that, but do you remember any impact it was having on your life?
I hated gym class. I hated gym class because I couldn't keep up with the kids. I was always the last one to be picked for the basketball or volleyball or whatever team sport we had to play in gym.
Right.
And because I couldn't keep up, I'd rather just stand against the wall and not get picked.
Wow.
And I remember that a lot. And then after I had surgery, I went out and bought a 5-speed bicycle, and I could actually ride around the block. I'd never been able to do that.
That was after your second surgery, after your second one.
No, it was actually after my third one.
After your third
Because after
one.
my
Okay,
second,
when you were a
I
teenager,
wasn't
yeah.
corrected.
That is fascinating.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
when you think about the impact at an early age and, of course, having classmates, and did you all ever get in discussions about it? I mean, was there anything, did they understand, or had you,
No.
after your second surgery, maybe you were living in the same place that entire time, is that right?
Let's see, when I was 7, I was in central Indiana, but I would
Okay.
still go back up to Chicago for my appointments and everything.
Right.
But I think when you're at that age, kids don't talk about defects or what's different than you. They just make fun of you.
Right, yeah.
No, they
She's
don't. They
the slow
don't.
one.
Yeah, exactly.
Not
You don't want her
picking
on
her.
your team.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what happens.
Wow, Ann, that is incredible. Of course, your involvement with the Heart Association, as you said, you've been here a good while. What brought you to, well, you've been in the Myrtle Beach area a good while.
22 years.
Is that
22
right?
years. I came down with a gentleman that did end up marrying.
Right.
And he was with radio. And I had met him my first job out of college. I was selling radio advertising,
Is
and
that
he was
right?
at the
Where
radio
was that
station.
in?
That was in Michigan City, Indiana, which is right on the lake. It's an hour east of Chicago. And he was the morning. It was an easy listening station, so he was
Right.
the morning person and the operations director and all that. And
Wow.
I started selling radio advertising, and he got me my first, actually advertising deal, which was the Republican candidate for the elections that time.
Really?
And I
There
actually
in
got,
Indiana,
Yeah,
yeah.
I actually got 2 tickets to the Republican picnic or something, and I said,
Wow.
well, you help me get this ad. Will you go to the picnic with me? And
Get
he
that.
did, and we just started dating, and he ended up down here with a job.
Right.
And I said, you're 900 miles away with babes on the beach. I'll be down shortly. So I came down 3 weeks later, and he's still in the area. He's in real estate. I'm in real estate. We're no longer married, but we still remain very close friends. We
That's-
have a lovely daughter who's healthy, no heart defect or anything with her.
Now, was this something that actually, and this was a congenital piece? I mean, is this something that had followed in bloodlines? Had you been worried about your daughter?
We never thought. We never thought it was genetic until 3 years ago. I had a nephew born, and his name is Killian. And I can remember my brother, he called me, I was at work, and he said, Ann, what heart defect do you have? And I said, tetralogy of Fallot. Why? He said, I haven't called Mom yet, but we just had the first ultrasound. He said, our child will have the same defect. And I thought,
my God.
I was crushed.
Wow. Oh, yeah.
But I knew with technology that it would be a piece of cake. It would be so much different than what I had gone through as a child. So my little nephew Killian was born 3 years ago, and they already knew what needed to be done. He had his first surgery at 13 days old.
No way.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
that
Now,
they
do they
can
have
do
to do
that.
the same things now that you would have been faced with, even on, let's say, on your third surgery at 15? Or is it advanced much? Have you
think it
seen
has-
Killian or talked to his dad about that?
Yeah,
Right,
I got
sure.
to spend some time shortly after his surgery
Right.
when he was up and about, and he just couldn't go back to school yet. But he's, I think he's adapted easier. I think it was easier for him to get around and everything. And
But it is open heart surgery.
it's open heart
I mean,
surgery.
no matter what.
And I just can't imagine someone, a little baby,
Yeah.
having the techniques and everything to deal with that for someone that's just that tiny. But they
Right.
can do that. They can actually do some surgeries on unborn fetuses in the womb.
And
That's
there
just
is a
incredible.
doctor in Boston who was one of the first about 25 years ago. Who was the first in the country, I believe, that had done a surgery. I read about that in this month's Myrtle Beach Area Business Journal. Paul Gable does a piece about his son who had open heart surgery right at birth.
Okay.
Right at birth, 25 years ago, and there in Boston. And it is much more common, I think, than folks know about.
Yeah, I think it
Surgeries
is.
or children born with holes in their hearts. In this instance, it was a reversal
Reverse,
of
I've
the,
heard
and I
that.
wish I could remember what it's called. It was an acronym, VTR, I believe, or TVR. It was fascinating hearing that discussion as the father writes about his son, who later became a tennis scholar or had a tennis scholarship to Newberry, and now a sports editor. It's fascinating to think about, obviously, folks like yourself that have gone a long time but still have to be checked regularly.
Yep. And then my nephew Killian, he will have another checkup, I think this summer. And he actually had a bovine jugular vein put in this past summer. And they're hoping that will get him through his teenage years, and he hopefully will not have another surgery until he's maybe in his late teens.
Say that again, a bovine jugular vein. Now, we're thinking bovine like...
Well, my
like
valve that I had replaced was a bovine pericardium valve, so
Isn't that
it's
right?
cow.
From a cow.
From a
yeah.
cow. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It's either that or mechanical, and mechanical, I don't want to be on Coumadin the rest of my life, but
Right.
that's another option, is mechanical valves.
That is fascinating. The
technology's come a
miracles
long
of,
way.
Yes, yes. And speaking
Absolutely.
of technology, 1998, you'd already been active, obviously, in volunteering with the Heart Association, but I think you brought a copy
I
of a
did.
certificate there from your wall.
I did.
Which is fascinating. And can I hold that up? Not that viewers can see that, but it is an incredible piece which highlights something very special. Would you mind sharing with folks, at least reading a little bit of that, Ann?
Well, I'm a big volunteer, and in '98 I was recognized as a '98 Volunteer Recognition Award. A research grant and aid has been funded in your name to Dr. David Simpson of the University of South Carolina, and there's a fancy project for the research, but to be able to earn money in the Heart Walk or the Heart Ball or something, and then have a research grant in my name was probably one of the biggest highlights of all the volunteering I've done.
That has
Just
to be.
tickled
And that
pink.
was 1998, almost a decade ago.
And I'm still volunteering. I'm still very involved with the Heart Walk and the Heart Ball, and I don't do the ride-a-thon, though.
The ride-a-thon
I'm
is
not a horse
there's a
person.
special crew that
Yeah,
goes
I
out
think
there
so.
to make that happen. And of course, we think about these events, Ann. Of course, you were the president of the board, the Waccamaw division, the Horry Georgetown
2 years.
board. I guess right before I was. 5 years or 10 years or 6, 7 years ago. And it's fascinating when we think about the three events here. $250,000 raised with the horseback ride-a-thon. 25, 26 years of that where folks are coming out to ride on the beach. Almost $250,000 raised on a regular basis with the Heart Walk. Obviously $200,000 this past year. And then expectations of this Saturday night raising pushing $370,000 bucks. Yeah.
You need to sell some more tickets and get
That's
those
right.
people here and get them excited.
And tickets are still available.
Okay, great.
Are
Great.
tickets still available?
I think so.
Yeah.
And
This on Monday. We're still a few days away. Folks can still make an effort to call in. The number's real simple. Do you remember-
626-3939.
Okay, 626-3939. Of course, folks hear $175 for a ticket and think, how can I pay that? What's going on? That's crazy. That the food and everything's not worth that, but that's not what they need to be thinking about. It's worth a lot, but there's also more to than just
It goes
the
to a
ticket.
great cause, and the money we raise in the state of South Carolina stays in the state. And even though Myrtle Beach does not have a research facility in the city of Myrtle Beach, it goes to like University of South Carolina or MUSC or Clemson, and then because of the research and everything at those facilities,
Right.
that benefits everybody in the state.
Absolutely.
So it doesn't go out of
Absolutely.
state.
That's exactly right, and that's a critical. And of course, $2+ million invested back into those three schools for research. Examples just like that that Dr. Simpson got and the Granton Aid in your honor. Examples like what's happening down at MUSC and the pediatric cardiologists that break out. Dr. Daniel Lackland is now the president of the Mid-Atlantic affiliate of 5-state board of the Heart Association. He's down in Charleston. When you hear him, and of course, a lot of his work, Ann, is focused on strokes. And the American Stroke Association, which is so intertwined with the American Heart Association, fighting heart disease and stroke. A
And in
big
our
deal.
county, we're one of the biggest in the country for strokes and heart disease, and that's our eating habits and our lack of exercise and our sedentary.
That's a tough word to say. I'm not
Our
even going to try
lifestyle,
to.
I botched it.
Right. Something like that. Yeah.
But we're huge for heart attacks and stroke in Horry County because of that. And that's something that the Heart Association does too with the education and trying to get it out to the schools as young as kindergarten, try and teach these kids don't smoke, get out and exercise, do the jump roping, do the basketball, whatever it is, and eat healthy.
Speaking of that, Ann, you had talked about your office working hard. This Saturday, aside from the Heart Ball, is also the marathon.
The marathon.
The Myrtle Beach Marathon. I think
I
your
backed
office
out.
is that Prudential Burrs and Chapin Realty?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And this is the 10th year of the marathon, and this is the 10th year that we have participated as a marathon team. We always have a 5-man relay team. This year, I think we have 5-man relay teams.
Wow.
And it's just good camaraderie. We're always the bottom of the barrel. You look in the paper the next day, and it's always crew 1, 2, and 3. We're at the bottom of the teams.
That's
But we have
hilarious.
so much fun doing it.
Oh, yeah.
But I actually backed out so I can help with the decorating and everything.
That's
I
true.
was on one of the relay
You said
teams.
5 teams of 5? So 25 folks that are committed to run at least 5 miles
They
or
walk.
around that. Yeah,
a lot
or
of them
walk
walk,
5
some
miles,
jog, some really put an effort to it for the photo ops, I think. But
That's
it's
hilarious.
fun. Yeah, it's a good
And
time.
you said Marvin Hyde, your
He's my boss.
was very active in helping
He's the
make
one that
happen.
coordinates it all, and he usually does the last 6.2 legs. He does that last 6.2 leg, which is the longest stretch of the 5-man
Of
relay.
the 5, so we might not see him at the Heart Ball then that night.
No,
Yeah.
I doubt if
He
we'll
might
see
be a little
him.
worn out. Yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
And then usually a couple weeks later, he'll do the bridge run in Charleston.
Is that
He's done
right?
that, I think, for I don't even know how many years. He's been doing that for many years.
That's a
And
great
he enjoys
commitment
that.
on Marvin's part.
Yeah,
You know,
he
when you're
likes
thinking
doing
about fighting heart disease and stroke, a lot of it starts with good health.
That's
and
right.
Making an effort towards bettering our health.
Yeah, that's true.
We've just got about 5 minutes in, and let's think about, again, of course, you talked about so many of the things that are happening behind the scenes, but a lot of things begin happening 3, 4, 5 months out as we're locking up sponsors and, of course, begin selling tickets as we get closer, locking up a venue well in advance, like Kingston Plantation.
And then the
again.
band. You got to pick the band that's got to be available that night. Let's see.
Tons of stuff that
Invitations, planning the
Right.
invitations, the invitation list. Who do you send it to? Do you send it to everybody from the last 13 years, or do you send it to the people that have attended the last couple years? How much postage do you want to spend? Planning whether there's posters, the media campaign,
Right.
the blitzes. Auction items,
Auction items, that's
sponsorships.
so critical, yes. Auction items and sponsorships. Oftentimes sponsorships, the presenting sponsor, they try to get it a good 12 months in advance. Those are tough to do oftentimes, and particularly in a small community like this with the goals rising and rising and rising, trying to reach $400,000 this Saturday, it's a big deal.
And when you have so many other different events this community does, March of Dimes, you've got the hospital galas, with the black and blue ball,
Sure.
Sertoma balls, all sorts of things, and the community is wonderful at giving and sponsoring and attending events and donating things, and that's incredible for a community.
Absolutely. And the phone number's simple again. If folks still wanted to, and oftentimes folks can come in at the last minute to donate an auction item to help raise the dollars. I know it's gotten tight. Shannon Camp's worked so hard to get them all together and wrap it up. At the same time, oftentimes things will slip in and be in the program book and just be available to help. The phone number's simple.
626-3939.
626-3939. And, of course, folks can get a auction donor slip to fill out, to send back in, so we've got something in hand that day, which is critical.
And they've got to realize that it's too late to get it printed in the official booklet and everything, but if they've got an item they want to still donate, please call 626-39 and we'll fax you the form. You can fill it out, fax it back, and we'll print something up and slip it in all the programs.
Yes, and I think even this close at hand, there's still an opportunity if folks wanted to band together to get a corporate table. They can still maneuver some of the seating around. Of course, Tammy and so many of the volunteers are working to make sure the seating is as set and as promised to the sponsors, so they get the. Obviously, it's kind of a pay for play. The more you pay to fight heart disease and stroke, the better your seating in the event. But at the same time, so many volunteers. It seems like almost everyone in the crowd is a volunteer of a sense, paying a little extra to be there to make it happen. But nothing like the volunteers behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes, yeah. There's a lot of work that goes into that. There really is.
Right.
But it's a beautiful event. It's black tie, long dress, gorgeous women. It's fun.
Ooh, listen to that. Yeah, let's get back to the gorgeous women. There we are.
It's just fun to attend. It is. Even if you don't bid on anything. The food, the dancing, we tie up that dance floor till the band says enough is enough, we got to go. And it's just a great event. It really is, and for a great cause.
Absolutely. And actually, we're thankful that Ashlyn Clark has consented and is willing for folks who may have missed her last Thursday to come in to do the special appeal. It's not all about fun and games. Of course, we've got Diane Devon Stokes, who is fun and games, emceeing, Coach David Bennett, who is fun and games, but very serious, doing the auction, and then Ashlyn Clark doing our special appeals.
Well, good, because I've not heard her speak
and you
yet.
haven't, so
yeah, I'm looking forward. I think I've introduced myself to her, but I've not had a In fact, I don't even know if I've done that yet.
Is that right? She's a great gal, a Sockasty High School senior.
Cheerleader.
In that instance where you're a cheerleader and working out 2 and 3 hours a day, and then your feet and hands start turning blue, you recognize something's wrong. And she had her surgery out in Houston and flew out there, and of course she said she and her grandparents now are part of the Zipper Club.
I'm part of the Zipper Club
and
too.
You're part of that same club. You're also real active. We just got a couple of minutes, Ann, with Mended Hearts.
Mended Hearts. It is a support group for people who've been through heart events, whether it's just something like a stent or major open heart surgery or valve replacement or whatever it may be. We are people that have been there. We have a visitation program, so our members actually go up to Grand Strand Hospital and visit people in the ward.
Really?
That either before or after they've had surgery, and that we can answer questions. We can do it by phone. We can do it email if people are more comfortable that way. But we meet once a month, and it's a good group. I enjoy it. I'm the treasurer, and I also do the newsletter this year.
Is that right? That is tremendous. And of course, one of the new board members in the Waccamaw division is a longtime active member of Mended Hearts with you, I believe. The gentleman seated with you at some board meetings.
Oh, Ken
recently.
Cushion. Yes. This is the first year he's been on the board. So I said we need to be a liaison between Mended Hearts and the Heart Association.
And that is a critical role y'all hold, aside from just volunteering, or aside from your active volunteering for this Saturday night's event. The Mended Hearts program is a tremendous one. If a viewer was interested in finding out about Mended Hearts, is there a phone number they could call, or even just calling Tammy? Tammy would probably have information.
Tammy might be able to. If not Grandstand Regional Hospital, the cardiac rehab people would definitely know about us.
Okay.
Because we have a bulletin board there.
And many thanks again.
Thank
Look
you.
forward to seeing you this Saturday.
All right.
Absolutely.
Looking forward to seeing you.
Stay tuned to more Carolina People with Ann Lymon coming up next. Think about that. After 28 years with no heart problems, Ann began experiencing some shortness of breath. Went forward a couple of months and pops in, not for her first heart surgery, not for her second, not even for a third, but for her fourth heart surgery. Think about that at age 3, then at age 7 or 8, then at age 15. The experiences in an early age, it's events like this Saturday night's Heart Ball that brings it all together and helps recognize the importance. In March of 2004, had it not been for those earlier surgeries and had it not been for the support of groups like the American Heart Association, Anne may not have known what to do, but she knew immediately, get on this, let's do something about it, and it helped save her life. Help be a part of making a difference for the American Heart Association this Saturday night. 626-3939 is the phone number. This Saturday night is the 13th annual American Heart Ball. Make a difference. Help fight heart disease and stroke.